was just going to go, cut it.
Cut it right now.
That's enough.
Okay, well. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fig Tree Podcast. I've said it once, I'll say it again. The podcast where I imagine that if Christ or God ever says, "Is there faith here on earth?" we could say, "Here's the fruit of the Spirit." And we just started off with a very triggering video. Very, very triggering. But there's a reason for that. Now, everyone that ever attended and saw the cult and everything like that remembers being in the stands, waving, running, trying to see who in the world, how can I get to the greatest perfect man of all time? How can I get to him? Now imagine that you had the blessing of being the cameraman for that angle, to be behind the elected one. You don't have to run anywhere. He's right there. But there's a voice playing inside your ear. Leroy, what was that voice?
That was the communications. They're calling me on my ear. Follow, get in the front.
And so it's lights.
Imagine that.
Camera.
And it's live.
Freedom and part 2.
Freedom.
Bam.
Take 2.
There we go.
Welcome, everybody. What video that you just saw right now was a video that Leroy, when he was inside the cult, the light of the world, this is what his part of his contributions were. To be able to be that close and film in these types of situations, the blessings that we all loved to see and wish that we could have. Now, again, the audience that's waving, the audience that's hoping to find the opportunity to even see a glimpse of him, you're right there. But you're not looking at it from the same lens that everyone else is. Instead, you have communication and production speaking into your ear. I want to expand on that because there's a cliffhanger that we left on that we're obviously building to. We're not going to tease everyone for too long about it, but Leroy, take it away, brother. Take it away.
Well, if you would like to play that clip a little again, for those that missed it at the beginning, and that way
I'll play it again. All right, everyone. There's a
because there was about only 2 or 3 in the video in the chat, or the ones that have on the viewing.
Guest wants us to play it again. We're gonna play it again. Everyone, trigger warning. So, yeah.
If you want us to stop at a certain part, just
you could just play it. Give a minute. So
here we go. I'll just lower the volume there so we can talk while the video plays.
So were you walking through that, Leroy?
They're in production. When you're there in production, you don't get that close. Like Kevin was doing an introduction. You don't get that close. Only a certain person or certain, you have to be elected to get there, to that position there, where you get to walk and give that perspective of the apostles' point of view and what's going around him, and all these little turn around the cameras and stuff. At the same time, I have production on my ear telling me to span to the left, span to the right, get me, focus on the apostle, his arms waving, and while all this is happening, this is a Santa Cena here of 2016. And so all the hermanos, the church members, they're all, waiting to see him as he approaches he's walking towards the casada there. And my job, and then, here I span because they tell me catch the hermanos, in bendición. And while they, my job is to keep on walking and doing what they tell me in the ear. So you see a lot of movement with my camera, but I know at the same time that they're doing that, they're also capturing him from the others coming down the other side. There's always, couple of cameramans that we all capturing the same image, and they're just switching over back and forth. But I wanted to play this little video here. First of all, we're not supposed to stay with these videos, right? And in one of my every time we did they always confiscated all these hard drives. And
Oh,
I just happened to one day go through my computers and I found this hard drive. And I was like, wow, I got. So I was happened to kept
Interesting.
this image, capture this image, this video image here. As you can tell, here's all the ministers that are walking right behind the Nason, right? That's Nason right there in the black suit. For those the audience that doesn't understand what's going on, here you see the hermanos, hermanas as he passes by, you know, and it's very interesting when you look at the faces you see, and at the same time, you were told to keep composed and you know
Yeah.
and you
That's
see this is all raw image. This is all raw image. That's why you see back and forth because when you're in production, they're telling you span to the left, span to the right. Then because at that time, they're moving to other camera angles, and I know, they're trying to get back and forth, and but this is all raw footage here. So for those that might say, well, you were never in Berea, we all know no one can walk in the pasillo. Nobody can walk with him, right?
right.
It's a
Right.
blessing to walk with him down where the same area he's walking. But here they had me. I know that this was live right there because they had me stop and focus on that hermano right there. And it's all to capture the emotions of what's going on with of the church.
it's that
You know,
cognitive behavior that we've
yes,
we've learned about it now. You go see. I have a video of my girls that went to see Justin Bieber when he was the big hit, and all the girls are crying, and they're like doing the same behavior. One monkey see, monkey do, and that's how it was there. You had a kid in your arms, and if they see you crying, they cry too. Exact same behavior.
yes. So this is what this video it depicts, or this is what I wanted you to play this video because it's a raw video that I found on one of my hard drives, and so I'll I just wanted you to play it so you can see that sometimes they say, well, you were not part of they come back and they try to say you were not part of it. They try to say, oh, here's another image. This is in Houston, Texas. I was and jumping to that video, you want to give me a little perspective of what's going on there. That was in Houston, Texas. He presented himself in Houston, and I took that picture to depict that I was behind the main camera, right, when he was in Houston, Texas. And every other church that's around the world, you watching this on YouTube, where at that time, the I was part of the what they call the blessing, right? The one that has the main camera, the one that's going to be focused on him throughout throughout the event, right? And that's why I sent this picture to you so that you can depict where the angles that I was at. And a lot of members, will remember, Then this is part of the production. This is so I work behind the camera, and I also worked on production on calling out camera angles and calling out the videos that we wanted to portray to the members. And here you see.
Second, real quick.
Excuse me.
Someone wants to commend you for all the work that you're doing right now, and it's Joel Silva. He wants to just say a real quick thank you to you for this video. He said it's not going to be very long. He just wants to thank you for what you're doing. Do you guys mind if I just have him join just for a second, and then he'll get off to allow you to continue the story?
Yes.
Commending you for the work. So I think it's great.
Did you share the link with him?
I'm sorry?
You shared the link with him already?
I'm going to right now.
Well, here once again, I sent you this picture to show that I was behind the scenes. I was there, and here he was at the at like the name of the name of the Daron Joaquin, the Daron Joaquin here.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was in charge of. This was also another Santa Cena where I was in charge of the production in Daron Joaquin, right? So sometimes I was behind the camera over there walking with him. Sometimes I was in the main camera inside the church, or sometimes I was doing production, right? So here I was doing production. On the prior pictures, I was doing productions where at Daron Joaquin, where he showed up and he spoke to Daron Joaquin before he headed to the provincia. So he stopped by, and I was in charge of the production there at Aaron Joaquin that year that I was doing this. So I did different parts of in Berea. So that's what I sent all these pictures to show the different parts that I was involved. Here, what I did here was calling out the cameras: camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. We usually had 4 or 5 cameras, 6 cameras, depending where we were at. And my job was to call out cameras. The guy that's there on he's listening to me. I was producer at that time. I'm the head producer there, so I'm calling him and telling him I have a radio on my ear, and I'm talking to the cameras and telling them, what angles I want, and then I'm telling at the same time I'm calling out, camera 1. Once he got the camera I want, I call in and say, camera 1, we're going live with you with 1, 2, 3, we're live. When I say that, the guy that's sitting there, he's listening to me, so he'll switch over to that camera, and then he'll proceed to, and I'll start looking for something else. Camera 3 gave me,
Hola, Tavi, Leroy.
Joel Silva, mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto en
Nice to see you, and we
a través de la cámara.
Aquí estamos.
Que muy buen programa están haciendo, sobre todo le mencionaba yo en un texto a cómo mostrar pues la forma del fanatismo pues que se desarrolló en el culto a la personalidad en la hermosa provincia y toda la luz del mundo, no solamente en la hermosa provincia. Es muy interesante ese punto de vista.
Joel, can you talk English? I know you speak good English.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
We're on an English program, brother.
Oh, yeah.
He speaks it.
My mind works better in Spanish, but it's okay. I can handle it a little bit. Yeah, it was a very nice program, especially because it exposes the fanaticism of the membership, toward the leaders of La Luz del Mundo. We were totally brainwashed. We couldn't see through the smoke and mirrors, but thanks God we are free of that indoctrination.
Yes.
Yes.
We are.
We were very indoctrinated into believing that we're doing the right thing for the man that was leading the church, right?
Yes.
We always believe.
I told some of my friends when I am in the lives that if I would meet the Joel Silva of 25 years ago, we would beat up each other, in the street.
Yep.
Yeah, because we were totally brainwashed. And, we did a lot of things, that we now know they are totally wrong. Yeah. But
we did it because we believed what we're doing was right.
Yes.
We were taught that was what we believed, that it was ingrained in us 3 times a day. Oraciones 5, oraciones.
Yes.
The 5, the 9, the 12. You were there. You lived it day and night.
Yeah.
I used to tell when I was in Hermosa Provincia, sometimes I was in charge of the caseta de control and in charge of the local congregation, and in the Dominicales that I used to preside. I told the members all the time that I was not indoctrinated or not preached about La Luz del Mundo. I suck it, I sucked the doctrine. I didn't listen. I didn't learn it. I suck it from my mother,
La mamamos, como dicen, you were fed it. You were fed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You grew up in it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we have been long way now, long
Praise
way.
God.
We have,
Praise God, and we're speaking now, Joel, and that's the important thing, is sharing our experiences, sharing where we are now. We'll grab it one day.
Yes. Let me tell you one word, some words that Alicia told me.
I think he froze.
Am I on?
No,
Yeah, there you're back. You're back.
Yeah, Alicia told me once, Joel, we should feel privileged, because we were able to see through the smoke and mirrors of the false doctrine of La Luz del Mundo. There's a big, heavy indoctrination that is very hard to overcome, over the years. Yeah. My whole family is still in chains over there. But the interesting thing is that they don't want to be freed. Or
Yeah, it's
they
very true.
believe they don't want to be freed. They don't. We don't know. We don't want to know anything, because one of my relatives asked me, "Hey, what was the point of acknowledgement? Or when you realized that you had to go out por la luz del mundo?" So I told them, it was an instant. When I learned the truth, it's like the scales over my eyes were, broken.
The veil.
And in a sen, in
Right.
a portion of a second, I realized that I was in a cult. And
Right.
let me tell you, that this was in 1997, when I was defending with all my will and all my knowledge the false apostle of La Luz del Mundo.
Right.
And in a fraction of a second, I realized, hey, this is not good.
Right.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
It's your departure from the cult is interesting because it was at the very peak, I would say, like the peak of Samuel's power, and how much he believed that he was an apostle. I had a friend in Guadalajara who told me that, no, not friend, un diácono that right now is in I think he's still in Texas. He told me how he was in the kitchen when the scandals first broke out in the late 90s, and that Samuel defended himself in La Provincia, and then he had a strong front pretending everything was okay, but then he goes into the kitchen and he starts crying, and he starts asking the same people in the kitchen, do you think I'm an apostle? Do you believe? Like, to have lived during that era, I have to ask, like, did you fear for your life? Did you think that God was going to destroy you?
Well, when I realized that all I used to believe and hold dear into my heart was totally false, what came to my mind was anger. Was
Anger. Okay.
here was anger, because all the memories from my grandparents, my great grandparents, all the suffering of my dad, my mom, came over me and say, what they work for. If this is false, all their work, all their sacrifice was in vain.
Yeah.
So I was full of rage. I was very, very with a lot of anger toward the leadership, especially not the church, but the leadership.
Leadership. Yeah.
I would love to have you come back, Cohen, because wow, you have a great testimony. So I have your number, so I'm just gonna call you and go, can you hop on?
That's it.
I also love his son. I heard him, and it was just a fluke. I heard his son in a group, and it was like a Christian group, that he was giving his testimony of how they came in the United States after his mom passed away, and Joel came with his kids over here, and just it was the whole story of what they went through. And gosh, I would love to have him, because he's 100%, and I would say embraced in his belief now, the church that he's in, and it's a Christian church. So I love it, and hopefully one day, Joel, we would love to have you full on 100%, you being our guest.
Would be delighted, to show to share his path, because tell you, I never him to go and study to become a pastor, a Christian pastor. Never.
He speaks so eloquent and just from his heart. So maybe I would love to have you. We would love to have you back. But for sure, if we can have your son, only because there is life after La Luz del Mundo, and that's what we want to encourage people, is that God is there. It's in His timing, and it's once we are sincere, we open our hearts to the Lord, God is going to be there for you. And I just would love to hear the his testimony as well. So maybe you can ask him, Joel, and we would love
Yeah,
to have him.
yeah.
Just
I would ask him
Please, yeah.
to share
saving souls. That's all I can say. Is saving souls.
Yeah, it's very interesting because once he was like I think like 12 years old when we came over into United States, and one day we went out to play basketball in a public playground, and we were sitting resting for between the game, and he asked me, Dad, random, Dad, how come good things comes from bad things?
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, explain it or elaborate to me. Why is this question is coming, or why? Oh, because if my mother wouldn't be killed, in the accident, we have a very bad car accident going from Guadalajara to San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Yeah, because my wife used to well, all her family was from San Antonio, South
Right.
San, and we used to visit
Relate
her.
to that.
So in this accident, she passed away, and she said, "Well, if she wouldn't pass away in that accident, we would still be under the boot of the false apostle.
Right.
My
Very-
sisters would become like slaves to him, and being abused. And we know the story.
Right.
We know the privileges he used to have, with especially with unconditionals.
Yes.
We were conditionals.
Mhm.
So that gave me a light, in the way God works. We see things that come to us as bad things, but sometimes it's just
It's a step.
Just a step toward the blessing that
Amen.
he's saving for us. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
invite him.
100%.
So I wanna
Yes.
let me know which.
Ask him. I don't have his contact, but if you
Please,
if
yeah.
you have my number, give it to him, and then I can we can connect.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
well,
I'm looking forward to it.
Joel, God bless you, and nice to see you again.
Okay. God bless you.
It's a pleasure.
God
Thank you.
bless. Bye bye. What a beautiful surprise, right?
That was a
Yeah, we
beautiful
got-
surprise. You're right about that.
Mhm. Okay, Leroy, it's all yours.
So glad to have Joel here. I also know him from
Surprise
being in San
guest. I love
Antonio.
it.
Yes, he's a surprise. I haven't seen him for a while.
He
But
can-
well, I want to get started here. I'm going to kind of progress a little bit. A
yes.
little talk about Samuel, right? The way he was, and give some insight of being behind production, being behind what happened behind behind the scenes, and things that I know now, that we all know now, and then I'll progress back to Nason, right? For me, Samuel was a person that was very elegant with words. He had the way to
Was.
speak, the way to come across his feelings to us. Looking at some of the early videos of him, his early teachings, and the way he talked to the church, he wasn't so like that. He built himself to become a person that was intriguing, and he loved he loved to show power, the way he dressed, the way he came across, right? So
Yeah, that pinky ring
you-
was everything.
the pinky ring with the long nail, right?
Pinky ring with the long nail. We know. We have confirmed it.
So
Saddles, it could be to take his boogies out.
he knew how to use words to manipulate the church and manipulate us members, right? He knew how to touch our inner feelings, make us feel like we were, he knew, and me behind the lens, right? I'm right here capturing him, watching him. I would feel it, and I would have to contain those emotions, when he say, hermano, ese que está allá atrás atrás del árbol, hermano, que no quiere
He was
salir,
king with
hermano,
that,
right?
yeah.
He had all
Yeah,
those
he's
words,
king.
those beautiful words, the way he
Mhm.
came across, and one's behind the cameras right there. Either he was in a Santa Cena or he was presenting himself in a certain church, and you always, in the emotions they came across, right? And and then looking into it, being in production. Shane, I'm gonna grow with something that we teased last week, right? Right, Tia Tavi? You
Right,
teased last
right.
Oh, it's
the last live.
cliffhanger time. It's
So
cliffhanger time.
yes, sorry. Yeah.
Hang
So
your time, guys.
as we were there, as us in communications, right? We're there working and calling out. I was behind production, and now we're talking about we're talking about his highlight of the Samuel era, right? The 97s going into the 2000s, right? The 2000, early 2000, mid 2000, mid 2000s is when I came in. So during that highlight of Samuel is when I came in, right? So that's what I'm saying, that he had the words, he knew how to touch our hearts, pull us heart, our heartstrings, and make us feel, so many feelings that came across us during that time. And but when I was not behind the camera, I work production, right? You show a little bit of the pictures that you show a picture there where I show that I work behind production, right? Now working behind production, something that's very, very, and Tia Tavi brought it up. We were told when I'm now behind production. Now I'm calling out cameras. I'm calling out camera one, camera two, 5, 6 different cameras. But then we were told, I have a headphones on and I have communication to. Then you had the main brother that's in charge, and whoever was in there at the time, either Abraham Bravo or Betsy were the ones that were there. They would call out in the ears. The hermano Samuel is live. It's lit. It's watching, right? So now come more tense, right? I would feel more tense because he's watching live. But we were told, little bit of back, we were told every time hermano Samuel, we know that he's watching, he likes for us to focus because he likes to watch the jóvenes, the young girls,
Oh my.
consagradas, leyendo la Biblia, tomando notas. And I would go back and
Where was
so I would, and I'm taking you there because
Yeah,
back
you have
then
to.
when
Good
I was
story.
there, I was feeling the apostle wants it's live, right? Come out the ears, he's live. So now I start calling out cameras, right? And my camera two, give me focus on get it, and I'll call out that el apostle's watching us live. He's watching us. So todos en sus al 100%, everybody at 100%. We got to be 100%. He's watching live, and then I'll start calling out cameras, right? Camera two, fócame unas jovencitas, right? They'll start looking around. I find them like, esas dos jovencitas ahí que están, agárramelas, que están, they're taking notes. And then I'll tell them, hey, let's zoom into the notes, and then we're gonna slowly pan out. So let's go to camera 3, for example, or let's camera 3. We're gonna go live with you in 1, 2, 3, and we'll, I give them the take. So they'll start on what they're writing and slowly pan out, right? They'll slowly pan out, and well, the members in the church, right? You're all watching on YouTube. You're in California, in Texas. You're in Guatemala, Salvador. You're all watching, right? And then what has come out, the things that he liked to do was he had a different mindset. Estaba depravado de la mente viendo estas jovencitas y pensando, ahora sabiéndolo, knowing what we know now, right? And back then it was a blessing. So when I was going through the in and outs of, is this true? This is not true. But then you hear the stories, and you hear from people that were inside that what he liked to see, that he loved to see these hermanitas, the jóvenes, right? The young girls on. So era un hombre. Then I come to find era un hombre perversive. He was very perversive,
honestly.
right? So those things
Great.
now change my mind of what I did there. Now sometimes it hits me. Sometimes I hurt because
there's a lot to
when I saw it as a blessing back then, now I see it wasn't a blessing.
What was I doing? But you didn't know me, Cole. You didn't.
But I didn't know, right? I did not know. So then I have to tell myself, and I have to work with myself. And I find myself a lot of times, because I'm a lot of times alone, I start telling myself it was part of what I believed. Well, we were taught to believe that this man, Samuel, was a man of God. And then when you hear testimony of Alitia, you know, her story, her testimony, and then you hear other testimonies, right? It's everything comes, you know, what we hear from Elisa Montoya, right? Her story, her cousin's story, and you hear all the different stories that come across. And then I've heard from stories that Samuel loved to watch that, and then we have the perverse things that he loved to do. It just hurts me because I was behind not knowing what's going on, right? And it hurts, and sometimes I hurt. But I once again, I look to the Holy Ghost. I look into God and tell him, forgive me if I knew what I was not doing was right, but I knew what I thought I was doing right. I thought I was doing right, but it was not right. But we didn't know that at the time, right? We're helping somebody create in his own mind, you know, a P movie, right? In his mind, he was. But if you think back, I'm talking to everyone in the audience that were there, and you watching at home. How many times did you see that we pan to jovencitas? And always the beautiful ones, right? Always the ones that were either outside the temple, inside the temple, in the bancas, in the coro, mezanis, everywhere, right? But we always got, because that's what they asked. That's what they will ask of us. So we did it, not knowing now what we know. And that's something that comes across, and that's what you had brought up that on our last live was that.
I just want to embrace you right now and hug you and tell you, Mijo, you know, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't.
We didn't.
All weird things, and that now you look back and go, man, that was not cool. No, that was not good. This, you know, it's just, yeah. I mean, I have so many stories of things that I've done, but today's your day, so you can continue. But no, Mijo, we just, you know.
No, I'm just trying to tell the audience how we feel, because sometimes we think we just come out and it's over, right?
Right.
Ya olvídalo, ya supera, right? Get over it, but it doesn't, because we were there, and we were not just there. I mean, I don't take it as I was a lot of members that were the banca, right? They see him from afar. They see Samuel, Nason from afar. You see them, but when you're there, you believe what you're doing is right. Especially like Samuel came to us and tell us, ustedes son mis ojos, son mis oídos para el mundo, y ustedes son you're the ones, the eyes, the ears, and you're going to take my message out to the world. You're going to help me. And I believe that we're doing right.
And you were, and you did. You did.
And
exactly
when we did,
what you were told to do.
And all this was done believing that it was right. And a little bit of those that were in Berea, a lot of, Berea has money, Berea has everything. But I had to buy my own cameras, my own lighting, my own microphones. And it was not, I came out of my pocket. Or every time I went somewhere, it's considered the blessing. It's considered like, oh, I got the blessing, because, they will call and say, hey, Leroy, he's going to go to Monterrey. And I would pack up my things, make time off of work, take a week off, and then fly to Monterrey, book a hotel, and I did all that out of my cord of my money, right? Now that I look back, it's all there you go. All that equipment, all that is paid out of my pocket. That's a picture there, preparing all the stuff, going through all my accessories that I need, and making sure I had everything needed to pack to go when I get to leave for this, whatever. It was either a gira or he was presented somewhere, and I was called to help in that event. And that was Samuel's time. Progressing over to Nason, and being around Nason was a different person. When he came in, he loved the power. He came in automatically.
You were there, right? When he came in?
The day when he was presented there in Guadalajara, I was asked by Luis Cruz, who was the minister. I was asked to stay behind and I took time off of my work for that whole time, because I was asked to make sure that the hermanos, the brothers and sisters, that stay behind. The production, the video was up, at every oración, make sure that it was running constantly. Then, So I was asked to stay behind. I didn't go. I wasn't over there, but I did it because
Over here, I think.
I stayed behind in San Antonio uh, because I was asked to stay to to help with to make sure that the the video came in for the hermanos to be watching all the blessing and
This
everything that was
was
going on. So,
before leading to you were still in church at that time.
right.
Okay.
Yes, I was still in church. This is the transition between Samuel and Nason, right?
Okay.
So I didn't go to Guadalajara because I was asked by Luis Cruz at the time was my pastor, and that was in Delgado, San Antonio Delgado, where I was with him, and he asked me to stay behind and make sure that the church was always receiving and you know we follow what ministers say, right? They say stay behind. They don't, you know, right? They don't need you in they don't need you in Berea. They have plenty of people over there. Everybody was over there. I need to, you know, so stay behind. And I wasn't over there during the transition of that December 7th to December the 14th, right? Want to touch anything, Kevin?
I do. So not everyone that that isn't a victim in one way or another, or wasn't a minister in one way or another, or served in activities in one way or another as a regular member. But not everyone was behind production. Not everyone was behind the camera, right? So what I want to touch on is when you were talking about how someone said that you were his eyes, his ears. I remember that. And I remember when he would tell it to everybody, and we loved the idea that we were contributing to this divine workload that Samuel had, and that we were taking away some of that weight that he was carrying, right? And I just go back to how anyone, when I was in Guadalajara and I was working behind the scenes, how you could ask me for anything, and I would do it. If you wanted me there at 2 a.m, I would be there. Of course. You want me to stay overnight? One phone call away, honey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. This blessing came up. Like, no questions asked. We would do whatever it was. But when I think about like your situation, Leroy, like I feel that pain, brother. Like I do. I just do. And like I was angry, like Joel was saying, when we found out the truth. Like I was angry, right? But to be as physically used the way you were, thinking that you were being helpful, that you were serving, on top of the money you were spending like on your own, like
instead of having vacation with the family, taking the time from my vacation to put it for taking time off to go to the Hiras or to his presentation wherever he showed up, you know. And that's what they did. They called it, you know. They chose different groups, you know. Like I said, they would, if he was coming to Houston, you know, there was a little group there that took care of it, but you know, they'll call me to go help, you know. So I made time, you know, to be there out of my time.
And to realize after you find out the truth that the goodness of your heart was truly twisted for a man's perversion.
Right. And
I understand the hurt.
And that's where it hurts. That's where it hurts, when you learn that all these things that you were doing and all this time you gave up for many, many years of being there early, being there late. I was one of the ones that arrived early and left, made sure we were up and running early, and I was there to the last person that rolled up the last cable to after the event, right?
Yeah.
And to put all that time and effort that's what I'm saying, that sometimes I go back and I look at it and I go, all that time I gave up in doing that, you know, we consider it a blessing to be around there. Like you say, we did. I did a lot of times pray while I was behind that camera, praying to God through this man to help me with something that's going on in our household, you know, or in one of my family's house, or anybody, whatever. You always had that thought in your mind behind, even though you were there. I was like, take it like, I have this blessing, but not just any blessing. I was right here in front of him, where millions and thousands of people never get to be at.
For anyone that's listening, what I'm trying to extract and what I think you see in this conversation is that as good as you see Leroy, he's telling you indirectly, I still hurt. I still feel the pain like if it was yesterday. I still feel those moments where I was in love with the life I was living, but I was being used. Like, that's what in a sense what I'm getting from Leroy, right? And Leroy, I can tell, and I want to give you this time. You can obviously chime in, but like there's just Leroy sharing this hurt, and he's only like showing you glimpses of the pain, but I feel like there's more, like something more he wants to say, and I want him to like just talk it all out. See if he lets it out.
No, I think we're just proceed over to.
Don't limit yourself. Like, people are listening. Your story is impactful.
It hurt. Everyone has their story. Kevin, just like Coed came on, and we all have a story. We all were used a certain way. Even though you were a member, if you were just a member, you might say, well, I was just a regular member. No, you were used in ventas. Give time. Your time, you're supposed to take time to be with your mother, celebrating Mother's Day. You were out there selling flowers, in the United States, I know the rest of the world does it. The rest of the Light of the World Church don't do this, but in La Luz del Mundo, selling Christmas trees during Christmas time. They had us selling. They said they had the hermanos. You might say, well, I was just the banca, but those brothers from the bench were out selling Christmas trees. Those brothers in the bench were out selling flowers and hearts and for Valentine's Day, right? And then it was so many. They look back and they used us, and everyone was used a certain way, and everyone hurts a different way. And my looking back is the way I did, and the amount of time I gave, and the amount of I believed I was doing right. I believe this was the right church. It was a true church. I believe this is we're working for our salvation, right? Believe that this man, I'm talking about Samuel, we were told for so many years, now they deny it, but we were there. We heard it, that he was going to take us with God, and he was going to present us with God. He was the one and we were, every time August came around, we didn't want to miss it, because were we going to be left behind? Or those thoughts that came through your mind, and you were there. And
to tell us que en la Santa Cena, que él dijo que en la Santa Cena, he had a dream where that God was gonna, pick up his church, que iba a levantar su iglesia, and it's like, here we are. How many 50 years later, 100 years later, nada,
Right, and then they change the narrative when Nason comes in, right? And then they have like short memory. Oh, he never said that. Oh, you don't understand what he was saying. They try to twist the words and gaslight us. They gaslight us in the things that, oh, you didn't hear that. This is what you thought you heard, but this is what he was saying. No.
Right.
BS, right? BS. Stop BSing us, right?
Right.
I know, we're not saying the word, but that's what I sometimes feel when they come across, and try to tell us, no, you
misunderstood.
That's not what he was saying. You misunderstood. I did not miss it. I was there time and time again with everything that Samuel said, and then it comes where they try to turn around and say, oh, that's not how it happened, right? And that's what they try to do. Even to today, they tried a lot of gaslighting and twist what they said before to what they try to convey today to the members, right?
Thank God for social media, because I've heard videos this weekend, as a matter of fact, that just passed. I think it was Apocalypse that he shared videos of actually, I think it was Adonai. He was on a podcast that's not an XLDM, and he was showing how Benjamin Joaquin was talking about who is Nason. Like, literally he had him in a pedestal as if he was God, and they can't take that back. They cannot take that back. You know, just like you're saying, don't fool me. I'm not dumb. I have a little bit of intelligence here.
Right.
It's like, did you hear? And it's funny because they took down the video. Speaking of the lies that they tell us, right? So Armando Maya spoke to the church. I think it was within the last week or month.
Right.
Saying,
The testimony they gave.
yes, they're saying that this guy that was on the death penalty list told Nason that he needed him to pray for him for his freedom. Okay, Chino's in California. We don't have the death penalty anymore in California. That right there tells you how much people lie and the ministers lie. Ya estamos hermanos, gloria al Señor and praise God. And it's like, people, wake up. They're lying to you.
Right.
It's like so sad how they'll make them. And they took that out because the guy figured out, I messed
Well,
up.
well, it's not the first time to take out something. Proceeding to what else to Nason in my here. When Nason then we don't transition to continue here. So continue to Nason. Nason comes in, right, and now he comes in and we're Berea Mexico, and he turns it all around and says no more Berea Mexico. Now we're gonna be Berea International because we're all gonna be one. He changed the whole structure of everyone that was in charge. Changes people from Abraham Bravo. He brings in Christian Carrera, and he brings he puts different people. Well, let me read them up here. He's during Nason time. This is now change of change of it's like when the business sells, right? One business sells and then they bring new. So we have Christian Carrera was a director of and then he brought in Caleb Neary, what everybody knows him as Pinky, as the director of production, and then you had David Mendes, who was the director of Crónicas Apostólicas, and then you had Mizraim Trejo, which is basically running photos and video back and forth. So they changed the whole structure of the ones that were in charge. But what I noticed from being with Nason came in.
Did you say that again?
Yes, I will say it again.
My serious theory. So Nason came with that narcissistic, right? He came in with narcissism. He believed that he came in and he changed everything where everything we started seeing everywhere was NJG, Nason Joaquin Garcia. They changed everything from Santidad Jehová, Mi Tiempo Ha Llegado, and we started seeing all that, right? And then us being in Berea, we started producing. He started producing all the content on YouTube. When we went to from 1 month, from December in January, we went 100% YouTube like crazy. We're doing, and I've seen some pictures of different programming running. We're doing programming, children programming. We're doing, we're doing weather. You see Hermano over there on the corner doing the weather. We're doing. They ramped it up to 100%. Wanted to put out a whole different vibe in us with Nason. Wanted to take it out to the world as the communications and really put out Nason and production went out. Here you are. Oh yeah, that's the one that's saying the kid programming. Tú lo sabes, right? Everyone was tuned in on YouTube. That were back then when those programs all went away when he got arrested. But I was there for that production. I'm there behind cameras, running cameras. Excuse me?
Do you know why they stopped?
Well, they stopped as soon as he was arrested. All that stopped.
Wow.
Basically the week he was arrested, it was all done. And talking about taking down videos, you were mentioning that, Tabby. There you have me running. doing a live show on YouTube for to raise money for Berea and well, you're saying that, so right before his arrest, right? I'm gonna kind of go back little right before his arrest. Well, let me go somewhere before I get to the arrest. So talking about him being a narcissist, the going with him and now he started with the Hitas, right? He started doing the Hitas, and he wanted, and what we're told, he wanted stadiums, the biggest stadiums, you know, everywhere. It was all the time, bigger stadiums, the next stadium, and every pastor everywhere, Salvador, Colombia, the United States, Texas, California, Spain, in Europe, all over. The minister started, all this production ramped up. Like I said, it went 100%. And my time there was flying, boom, boom, Panama, Colombia, Mexico. It was crazy. It was crazy. But coming with all the I'm going there is every pastor seemed like they were fighting to outdo the next, right? If you look back and think about all these presentaciones, right? Every minister came up with their own little, 30-minute speech to introduce el apóstol, right? They use verses of the Bible, and if you just looked at it, everything was like ramped up to the next level. But what I'm going here is while all that show was going on, and this is where another thing that hurts me, brother, and that's where we're going back to that hurts me, is he was going to be prior to that, because I said like 100% ramped up. So prior to that, he was visiting all the little churches, the little, when he showed up in Monterrey, he went to the little pueblitos that Samuel never went to, because right? And I'm sorry, I hope I don't break down. Because this is where I'm going. Is we know, being part of La Luz del Mundo, we know the heart that all the members, right, they put in. We know the desveladas, the time, especially knowing these little pueblitos that Samuel has never visited, but now Nason is out there doing his grand production of, right, to go visit all these, and all these hermanos. They, we know they took time to fix up the temple, paint it, fix up a little place for them to be at, to stay. Every place they had a little house or a little place for him to spend time. They spend money on food. And what now behind this, me being there, now this is, running with Crónicas Apostólicas, right? I'm running with them. And sometimes we went ahead of time before he arrived to make sure, according to, once again, along with security, to try to set up everything, security be on their thing. We've been setting up cameras, we set up speakers, we make, because he's coming to the church, and the hermanos gozosos, dando todo, right?
Right.
And while we wait for him to arrive, I'm talking about Nason here, now we're talking about Nason era, right?
Right.
We're waiting, the hermanos con todo, dedicación de su corazón, they're showing us, and we're videotaping all this. Las comidas, los regalos, los muebles, aunque humildes, todos humildes, pero sabemos que dan 100%.
Yep.
And when he would arrive, so all this, I would see it, right? And preparando mesas.
Did you go to Mexico, or was it in the United States?
I'm talking about Mexico. I'm talking about, una gira de Mexico in Monterrey. Okay. I'm just giving, but this is not only there. The scenario goes, just expand it out to every gira, right? Okay. So we will get there, and now, before, like I said, security, they set up, it was all a whole thing. We set up cameras and everything, waiting for him to arrive and to capture the moment for the hermanos that are in their churches, que se va a presentar el apóstol, y están todos en YouTube in their churches watching all this. Y'all remember, right? Y'all had to run to church and watch all this while we're so. Pero ahora lo pienso en esta manera, que todos los sacrificios, una iglesia preparándole una comida, porque let me go in English, I Spanish. of the church preparing a food because they're told that the apostle's gonna have Nason is gonna have lunch with them, right? All this food, all this, pobre, humildemente. I'm not talking about, right? But for them, they're local, what they cook, what they do.
It was a big sacrifice, right?
Right? And we know that they must said they did not sleep. They were up all night doing all this. So he arrives, does his little thing, walks in, blah, blah, y con las que no existen, right? Las secretarias. We don't know who they are. Y, pues I'm right there recording. I thought Saleh, Alondra, you name them, right? Salem, and they all walk, he arrives with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
But it was always the same show.
Oh wait,
so
they do exist. You did see them.
Well, there was a show. It's the first ones that walk out are the secretarias. The first car that arrived was the secretaries. They get off, they walk in. The next car that arrives, it was Alma, and if Eva was there, well, Eva was with Alma, The next car that arrived, well, it was the pastors, right? The deacons, and they all walk in, and then the last car that moves forward, well, and that's what we're all anticipating, right? With the cameras and everything. I'm right there recording everybody pass by, and my job is to record as soon as he arrives and walk in with him, So, and then he'll go in. So when they say they didn't exist, they exist. they existed, right? When Salem said that we don't know them, they knew them. They knew who they were because they were there. I was there. But the point that I was going to, and I kind of rear off to his arrival, right? I'm doing all this anticipation of how he arrived, and he went in, did a 20-30 minute speech, un canto, and and say his words, whatever. But he will walk out, and all these hermanos, all this, walk in his car and get the hell out of there, leaving them with everything.
Yep.
That happened a lot.
Leaving them. And now and then I think about it is, we're leaving, go, let's go, run, right? We run, and we end up going to El Fuego de Chao, right? Because allá, over there, instead of being the apostle and being with his members, he's going to go sit down with officials, with the mayor, with judges, lawyers, and the people around whatever the little community is there, right? And I look back and I go, I bet he wishes today he could have had that meal that those brothers fix.
Oh, bet.
Being un cabrito, some tacos, some whatever they made, right? And they made it out of their heart. And he left that. And many, many times, we would stay behind, picking up stuff. And especially if it was the last place for the day that he was going to be at. Mm-hmm. And we would eat that. We would stay there and eat that.
That's crazy. Because
we were the last ones there. It was the last location he was going to be at. And we didn't have anything to do until maybe later on the night or whatever was going on. But sitting with those hermanos, and that's what hurts.
Yeah.
To see all the sacrifices that, looking back and seeing those hermanos, and they will bring it to us. Look, le hicimos, jóvenes, niños, they did art and all this stuff, and they just had to stay with it. Because you didn't care for that.
Never to be seen.
That happened in San Diego. In San Diego, we did so much sacrifice to buy our first church back in the 80s. And we did everything. Everything you talked about, we did. And we decorated the church really pretty. And we studied a song so that when he got there and stuff like that. Would you believe that he did not show up? He mandó another pastor. He did not come. It's like, after all that work that we did to buy a church and food. We had this brother that was a chef at a really nice restaurant, and of course he was in the Casa Pastoral making all this food for him. And no show. It was just a no show, And you know what the pastor told us? Que éramos unos pecadores, that we were sinners, and that we not deserve his visit. That's horrible. After all the work he do, and they come down to us like that we didn't deserve his. That's why trying to excuse him and say that's why he didn't come, because We don't
Your
deserve it. It's
fault.
like, oh my
Your
gosh,
Because
fault.
it's
It's your fault.
and,
that's
You're the
and that's
problem.
what we're talking last week. That's what one of our little topics there, that they put everything on shaming and bringing that it's our fault on everything we do, and we never good enough to forgot, and we're never good enough to be forgot to come in our lives. We always have to put
Right.
ourselves below and degrade ourselves, right?
even now,
But
Leroy. We open our eyes and we're blessed. Like Joel said, we're blessed. We open our eyes, and now they said that God vomited us. Que nos vomitó
right,
de su boca because
well, that's what they say because they have nothing else to say. They,
exactly.
they, they have nowhere else to hurt us. They don't have nothing because we did we. I mean, I gave, like I say, I was there when it first, whatever event, I was there the first, and everybody can testify. Everybody that knows me, I was there from the first, when it began the event, I was there till the end of the event. It
Right.
didn't matter what it was. I
Hmm.
dedicated hours and hours and hours of my time. I dedicated thousands and thousands of dollars of money and for travel, and everything was, once again, it was the
On your
blessing.
on your time.
Right, and I saw it as, yes, we all saw it. I saw it as a blessing. I saw it. Oh, I'm called. We need you, sir. This place. Pack up. Drop off. Go. Catch the plane. Book a plane. Fly. r-
Yeah.
Get the, rent a hotel. Rent. At the end it was uh Airbnbs. But before Airbnbs there was the
Right.
hotels
Oh
and
yeah.
Yeah.
then rent a cars and stuff like that to move
Even
around.
even our trips to Guadalajara, it's like we spend so much money. I have family members that have lost their homes and everything because they spent so much money through their life going to Guadalajara. Their cars breaking down on their way over there. It was just so much, and it was all a lie. Just we were living a life that we were sincere to God, and I think that's the reason why God just has opened our eyes on all that. And yeah, it's a lot. We can just go on, and I know, Kevin, that
Yes.
you're way ahead of us in time, and you need to go meet me pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got a reflection out of the conversation, or listening to you and listening to Leroy share. Do you mind answering this question on the screen before I share the reflection? Question: Did Berea consider you for the obra like they did with others?
Yes, they called everyone in for a big meeting, and they asked us to be cool. The way they put it down for us was they wanted everyone that was the ones that were close and working. They did not want us to have a job any longer, so they asked us to become ministers so that the church and we could be 100% to do what we were doing,
Salaried, yeah.
and now and then tied to a church, or to be. And they even offer me to stay local, obrero local, right? But
Oh yeah,
to give me a salary just to be available, right?
to be at their beck and call is what it is.
Right. That's what they wanted. And many of them. That's how many of them became. They sign up. They automatically sign up. I didn't sign up. I told them no. But
Good for you.
I thought that was the end of me. But the end of when I said no. But I kept working.
Yeah.
I worked all the way to the end. All the way to the end when we're about a few months before he was arrested. We started taking down all the videos off of YouTube. They sent us a message that we had to delete all YouTube videos. We had to delete anything that involved the church, any of the
Yeah.
preachings. And now I know why. After the eyesight 2020 was because they didn't want it to be exposed as a sect. Because the very few videos that are out there roaming around with their preachings, well, they're very few based on the thousands and thousands of views that were actually on different YouTube channels that we had. And now you look back, even Berea today is not Berea. If you go to Berea's webpage, berea.com, it's not. You don't even find us on there,
That's what I
and you
heard.
don't
Right.
and
Of course.
you don't even find pictures that nothing resembles the Luz del Mundo. A lot of them are foul pictures that they don't even resemble the Light of the World Church.
But you know
If you
what?
look,
They weren't counting on the sassy ex-LDMers that are really good online and can find recordings of
Well,
people saying
a
things.
lot of the recordings that are out.
I wonder who did that.
I wonder who.
Mírale la cara.
I wonder where that Noel Lugo video
Mm.
about him or audio that came out talking about he wanted not the first term of Trump wanted so badly to be at the San Bernardino Santa Cena, right? And then they
The
then take it
lie.
down.
Yeah. Hey, before I
I got
forget,
you.
Go
they've
ahead.
been talking about they want to communicate with us and they want to share their stories with us. And there's a banner at the bottom if you guys see it, and it says figtreepod@gmail.com. If you guys can, I can see it, but maybe they're saying that they cannot see it. So if you guys tell me, it's a little blue line at the bottom of where I am. Let us know if you guys can see it. But feel free. That's actually our email, so that you guys. Oh, he sees it now. So good. Okay. Thank you, Apocalypsis, for saying that you can see it. So anyone that wants to share their story, again, it will be in English. We can do the Spanglish a little bit because it kind of slips. We're Spanglish. What can I say? But yeah, there it is. It's really nice and bold now. So thank you, Mijo, for doing that. Um,
Of course.
yeah, there's so much to talk about, Leroy, and there's so many
Yep.
stories to share. And I believe I just want to have this segue a little bit. Kevin, are you going to kind of give a highlight of what's going on for next week, or we're gonna continue with Leroy's story, or what do you want to do for next week?
Oh, okay. So I'll tell everybody who, well, I guess if you know her, if you do, you don't. But so basically, she is a convert, or she converted American. She was I believe, the first, her and her mom, American, baptized, and they were the first American baptized in Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania, making them one of the very few American white people, essentially, that English speaking only, that converted to the cult.
Okay.
And she is willing to come on and discuss, her time in there and what it was like for her to be placed, in a sense, on a pedestal for being white, essentially, for the color of her skin. But the challenges that she also faced, and the people that maybe may or may not have dated, who knows? So that is what we got cooking up. Hopefully next Monday, and then we can finish off Leroy's story after that. But the reflection, right? So, Leroy, what I got out of you is that some days everything is business as usual, freedom, gratitude, and just enjoying life for how beautiful it is. And then there are just moments where it's just you in silence, and there comes a time they where everything's not happy, and you have to deal and wrestle with the actions of the past, or the thoughts of the past, the control and the manipulation of the past. And in those moments, you're not 100% when they happen all the time. Sometimes you're feeling low, and sometimes it feels like it sucks, and the weight of our actions can weigh on us. But then we remember, like you said, we're not alone. No one ever said we were going to be alone. They lied to us and told us we were going to be alone. We were never going to be alone. And that was the joke that we didn't know about. And we still chose to take that leap of
Right.
faith, not knowing that it was going to be. So everyone that's watching, listening, you're hearing it from Leroy. Some days are easy, other days they are tough to think about the past. But just like his job, you got to keep trucking along and making it happen, because you have to. You're light. That's just what you are. You're light, and you have to shine day or night. Even if it's dim, you still have to shine. So thank you for sharing that, Leroy.
Yeah.
Obviously, our time is up. But does anybody want to say any final remarks?
Well,
Gabriel, speaking a lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna leave you last, Tabby. No, well, like now that we've talked a lot, Kevin, I share music with you, some hymns that I listen to while I'm out and I go into the reflections. and it just takes me to that point where there is a God. We're not alone. And those songs that I sent you, shared with you, those are some of the songs that hit me, right?
Yeah.
And they make me feel. And when you see the audiences, you see that there's a God. Not everyone
It-
in that, thousands and thousands of people are praising to God and in their own way
Yeah.
and their own. But we all let, once again, the Holy Spirit guide us,
That's right.
and
That's
that's all.
right.
I let the Holy Spirit guide us, and He'll help us and get through things. That's my
Amen.
thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Tabby. I'll let you close it off, Tabby.
Just like Joel said, and he repeated Alita's words. It's like, how blessed are we, the chosen ones? I mean, it is the. It's not something easy. They've literally made shows on the most biggest networks as HBO, A&A, A&E, Netflix about getting out of a cult, how hard it is to get out of a cult. And we're just a little small percentage of people that said, I'm going to educate myself and see what's really going on. And for me, it's a blessing. It's a blessing getting to know uh, you two, as well as other guests that we've had. Um, as we said before, if we have people that are saying some stuff on our chat, and Gaviota said something about our next guest that you had already told me, Kevin. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a blessing. All we want to do is to help other people uh, through their path of getting out, because
That's it.
there's so many people that are there. We had Benigno, where his wife is still there. He still goes to church. It's hard to what do you do? Yes, mentally he's not there anymore, but how do you do it? How did we do it? And so we
We do it.
both, all three of us were blessed that our either YouTube, that your spouses were in church with you, and you were blessed that they got out. Mine was way easier because my husband wasn't even from church. Praise God. But yeah, that's all we want to do, is we want to educate and let people know that we're going to be okay and to have faith in God. That's all I have.
Amen.
Thank you for
Amen.
being.
Amen.
All right, everybody. We'll see y'all next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Next
Thanks for everyone.
year. God
Thanks
bless.
for everyone. And everyone's gonna
Thank
hear us later.